Hi there guys, I hope you are having a good day. Now Anthony Joshua has explained that perhaps Oleksandr Usyk is more likely than Tyson Fury in 2021. This is what he had to say. I don't know if he's going to fight Wilder or not, Caballero or not. If Fury is serious, the fight will happen. I don't know what will happen in 2021. If I was to bet, I'd say Usyk. He's with Matchroom, and when he says he's going to fight someone, he does. So there we go, that is what Anthony Joshua has had to say about the possibility of fighting either Usyk or Tyson Fury next year. Now, if Anthony Joshua does fight Usyk next, that does not mean that a Tyson Fury fight cannot happen next year. It would just mean it would be more likely to happen in the back end of 2021. Now, of course, if Tyson Fury must fight Deontay Wilder next, then again, that puts off Undisputed, and Oleksandr Usyk has explained he's going to enforce his position as a WBO mandatory. So it does kind of look quite uncertain at the moment. Will Undisputed happen or will it not? Because obviously there are mandatories, there is this situation with Deontay Wilder still going on with Tyson Fury. So question marks remain about this fight. Now, we were previously told that 2 fights were agreed in 2021. 50-50 splits in the first one, 60-40 favouring the winner in the second one. Financial terms were agreed, and that's the biggest stumbling block in a fight such as this. So we were there, or so it seemed, but I guess you cannot get too excited until you see the fight announced, until you see a press conference. That is when you know it is set in stone, and even then, until you see them in the ring, it's still not 100% certain. So what is the likelihood of Anthony Joshua facing Usyk and, say, Tyson Fury fighting at Deontay Wilder? I would say probably as much as the chances are of them fighting one another. It's boxing after all, and if things don't move in the right direction at the right time, then Anthony Joshua's career will not stagnate, Tyson Fury's career will not stagnate, they will go their separate ways. It should happen next, because I don't see any reason why not, especially considering they're both in the prime of their lives. This is the right time to make this fight, there is going to be no better time. I know that Anthony Joshua has a mandatory in Usyk, so he might have to either drop a belt or just face Usyk and get him out of the way. But if he has to drop a belt, then he has to drop a belt. He wants that WBC championship. And yes, I know it would not be for Undisputed, but still, the fight goes ahead. So I don't think this fight will happen without someone having to drop a belt or cave in to a governing body by saying, okay, you either want your belt on the line or not. If not, then we're going to vacate it because we're going to take this fight anyway. So essentially, I think that some belts can have to be vacated. I don't think it's going to be for Undisputed, but I think that the fight should go ahead nonetheless. It would be great if it was for Undisputed, all of the world titles on the line to see who is number 1 in the heavyweight division, but they are just a silverware at the end of the day. What really matters is what happens in the ring, and that is what is important. So we want to see who is number 1. We will know, not the world titles, nothing like that. We will just know who wins that fight is the number 1 in the heavyweight division. That is what needs to happen, but obviously there are going to be stumbling blocks, it's not going to be easy. And with regards to Anthony Joshua saying that I don't know if he's going to fight Wilder or Caballero because you never know what Fury is going to do, and he also said that Usyk says he's going to fight someone and then goes and fights them. So I think he believes that Tyson Fury is going to go fight Deontay Wilder next. I think he thinks that because Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury are currently undergoing mediation to try and get that sorted out because of this contract that has expired, it hasn't expired, and all of the back and forth between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. Their teams more so than anything else. One saying the contract has expired, the other saying it hasn't. Now obviously the reason why it has expired is because they were supposed to fight in July. They did not fight in July due to an injury on Deontay Wilder's part. Then it was moved to October. Then again, it did not happen because of a force majeure, which I'm guessing is the pandemic. I mean, that would be the only reason. And they couldn't have fans, so it was moved to December. So that was 2 opportunities that Deontay Wilder had and missed for this rematch. So in that sense, the contract was up. He had the delays that the contract stipulated he was allowed to have, but still, he did not get in the ring with Tyson Fury. So there's going to be a lot of back and forth between those two because there is a contract that says Deontay Wilder gets a rematch with Tyson Fury. But again, there are those situations in which Deontay Wilder missed his chance to get back in the ring. So that could be a lengthy process between those two, which could keep Tyson Fury out of the ring for a substantial amount of time, meaning Anthony Joshua will have to go and face his WBO mandatory, which is Oleksandr Usyk. Now, if that were to happen, it would be, of course, greatly disappointing because we've waited so long for Undisputed, and it wasn't just Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. It was going to be originally Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder. That fight did not happen, and there are fears that this fight could suffer the same fate, and it could be down to Deontay Wilder wanting to enforce his position on Tyson Fury. But, I mean, this fight just needs to happen. It should happen next year. Whether Tyson Fury has to fight Deontay Wilder, whether Anthony Joshua has to fight Oleksandr Usyk, in the interim, the fight still needs to happen in 2021. Because if it doesn't happen then when is it going to happen? Now, Anthony Joshua did elaborate on the fact that he believes Tyson Fury will not be the one he faces after Kubrat Pulev. This is also what he had to say. When I look at Fury, I see a great talent, but I don't know whether he's coming or going. He announced he was going to fight me, then the deal didn't get signed, and we're not fighting. Then you have Usyk, and he seems to be just straight. You hear he's going to fight Derek Chisora, and he fights him. You hear he's going to fight Chaz Witherspoon, and he fights them. I go off people who are serious. If Fury is serious and keen, then the fight will happen. Honestly, I'm keen to test myself. He's supposed to have the real boxing IQ, so it's going to be a real good challenge. I'm keen to compete with him, no problem. But whether he's ready, that's a whole other story because of the issues he faces during his career. I don't know if the fight will happen in 2021, but if I was to bet all my money on it, I would say Usyk because he's with Matchroom, straightforward fight, and his track record shows. He says he's going to fight someone. He does. So given what Anthony Joshua is saying there, saying if he was going to put all his money on it, he'd say he's fighting Usyk next. I guess that means he will be fighting him instead of Tyson Fury in 2021. At least in the early stages. The Fury fight might happen further in the back end of 2021, but that seems to be becoming less and less likely. And it was interesting to see Anthony Joshua saying something about a deal being signed. It wasn't signed by Tyson Fury and they're not fighting. So that was interesting also. Things haven't been put in writing, just verbal agreements, so it's all just hearsay at the moment. Whether the fight happens or not is still completely up in the air. Guys, anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below, leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you are new. Thanks guys.